Welcome to the Summers Woodworking Show. It's season 5, episode 4, and tonight we have special guest Ralph Bagnall, a consulting woodworker. He's going to talk about some sponsor strategies. And first, we're going to go with roll call. And to my far left, we have Chris. Chris, you want to tell people who you are and how they can find you?
Hey guys, Chris here from the Old Cranky Workshop. You can find me on Facebook and on YouTube under Old Cranky Workshop. Sorry about the technical issues. I know we're running a little late, but none of us could stay online. So
Kept bouncing us off.
Well, we're here, we're up and running.
All righty. Next, we got Dave.
Hey, I never dropped off yet, knock on wood. I'm David Gunn, DLG Woodwork. Follow me on Instagram. I hadn't posted any YouTube videos in a while, but I got about 4 of them in the works. So, DLG Woodwork. And happy to be on the show, Brian.
All right. Thanks. And next, we got Jerry Brown.
Hey guys, Jerry Brown, Polywants Crafter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and a lot of these shows. Good to be here.
Well, thanks for being here, Jerry. And then the man of the hour, Ralph.
Well, hey all. You can find me at my new website is woodcademy.com. Of course, I've got a YouTube presence under my own name, but everything is on Woodcademy, so it just directly will take you there. Been a professional woodworker for about 30 years now, and I've been on YouTube since about 2006, so I was a very early adopter to the whole YouTube strategy. And if you look at some of my older stuff, you can tell. Some of it's, shot in pretty low res, and some of the early stuff's pretty ugly. But I've been doing it for a while now, and yeah, I consult to the woodworking industry. I work with several major manufacturers, providing marketing materials for them, videos for their YouTube channel, for their, Instagram or websites or whatever. And I work with Microjig, Technitool, Bessie, Freud, Empower Tools, and a half a dozen smaller guys you've never heard of.
Yep. I knew you since 2012. You're always the voice behind the item.
It's funny. I show up. I do a bunch of shows around the country during the year for different clients, mostly Microjig, and every now and again somebody will come up to me and they're like, "I know that voice. I've seen that on a Microjig video or something else."
Yeah.
I was actually in a woodcraft store. I don't know. I think in Arizona, and they had a little video screen set up behind where I was working, and I didn't really realize that it was there until all of a sudden I'm hearing my own voice coming from the wall behind me. It was very strange.
Yeah, I bet. So how long have you been with Microjig?
I've been working with Microjig since I started using their products, I think, in 2010. And we've been officially working together since about 2012. So, back in the day, I started their YouTube and, their Facebook and their Twitter account for them, helped them build that up, and wrote a newsletter for them for several years. They've got other people doing that stuff for them now, and I'm pretty much working, spending most of my time for them, doing new videos, working with their instructions. We're just about to release a brand new gripper DVD. The old one is from like 2003, so we figured it was time to upgrade. And so that's all done and just about in the can. So new grippers coming out. We'll have a brand new DVD, and it'll all be on YouTube as well for them. So I've been working with them since about 2012. Used to work with Laguna and Fast Cap many years ago as well. Clients come and go. Did some work with MagSwitch and some others. pretty busy.
So what's your secret into keeping these sponsors once you get them?
Well, keeping them really isn't the hard part. The hard part's getting them. And not everybody that I work for not everybody who is a client of mine is in fact a sponsor. I kind of keep those two things a little bit separate. I give them all the opportunity, but not all of them are. But really, it's the first thing I'm going to say is if people are interested in looking at, getting companies to sponsor their sites or their web pages or what have you, the first thing is just ask. That's the first thing. Most people think that you have to know somebody or you have to get an in or something else, and that's not necessarily true. Realistically speaking, asking is the first step. And you'll be surprised at how many companies are pretty open to that sort of thing. Now, obviously, the larger the company that you're talking to, honestly, the less likely they are to pay attention because, sometimes they have budgets and you have to get them when they're, settling their marketing budget for the next year. Smaller companies tend to have a little more flexibility because you're more likely to be talking to somebody who's actually got the control and can make a decision fairly quickly. But the first thing is to ask. The second thing to understand is know your numbers when you go to talk to people. How many viewers are you getting a month on whatever platforms you're on? How many new people are you seeing? Do you, if you can track links, so that links that are on your website when you send a newsletter or people read your, the comments in or the description in your YouTube channel or visit your website or whatever, the more you can show somebody that people are clicking through these links and following them, the more likely you are to get somebody interested. The other thing is don't shoot for the moon. Aim low when you're starting out. I'm just starting. Woodcademy is a brand new website. For many years, everything I did was under the consultingwoodworker.com site. And the problem is I wanted to kind of separate out the professional services that I do for woodworking companies and the content that I put out for most of our viewers who are enthusiasts who are working, learning the craft and doing it as a hobby and that sort of thing. So I wanted to split those two apart so that we could have a little more differentiation. And in doing so, I wanted to make sure that the Woodcademy site was brand new. It was, up to date and giving us the best possible, look at the other for the viewer. And so we just started that in April, and it's doing quite well. But in talking with all of my sponsors who were on the old site to see if they want to come to the new site, one of the difficulties I have is that I don't have those numbers to show them and say, oh, look, the new site is pulling all of this. So one of the things that I did was I did put together a media package. It's just a little PDF that explains what the site is, who the audience is, gives them some of the numbers that I'm seeing so far. But, once the relationship is built, it's a lot easier to maintain it than to start it up. The hardest sponsor to get is the very first one. Once you have the first one, then it's, especially if they're a well-known name, it's a little bit easier. For me, I almost stumbled into it. I was looking at possibly getting sponsorship, and I was talking to a few people in the space at the time, people like Mark Spagnolo and Tom Iovino, and, asking them what they had done. And a decking company out of the blue kind of called me up one day or sent me an email and said, we'd like to sponsor your site. Okay. So I did that. I set it up with them, and then, I kind of announced it on Twitter or Facebook. I think, oh, got my first sponsor. I was all excited about it. And another company that I know basically contacted me almost instantly and said, how can we become a sponsor? And so from there, then I kind of had to think about it and say, okay, what am I going to charge? What is it going to get them? And, what benefit can I prove? And so that's kind of what that media kit puts together for your potential sponsor is it lets them know all of that stuff. So I'm not looking to get rich off of my sponsors. I'm looking to primarily have them pay for news and the annual cost of my my website and all of that stuff. So I don't need thousands of dollars a year in order to do that. And right now I couldn't even ask for it. But over time, as the numbers start to look better, when you go to renew a contract, you can bump it up a little bit if you want to. But I've also seen people who, although they have a big following, just suddenly start demanding crazy numbers from their sponsors and end up losing a bunch of them.
Yeah.
That's happened more than once. So, it's really kind of a, decide what it is you want to accomplish by having sponsors. What is it that you want them to pay for? And the other thing I'm doing is I am limiting the number of sponsors that I have on my site. I think if you have too many, then, the value to each one becomes less. And so if you go to my website, what you'll see is that on all of the basic pages, we set up a sidebar on the right-hand side of each page that has all the sponsors listed. So they're on every single page in the site, except for the ones that I sell on. And then there's an upgraded sponsorship where they can actually sponsor a single page in the site, which when the customer goes to the page, at the very top of the page is their logo or a video from the sponsor, and then they can, but then any page within that main section, so if they go to my CNC page and somebody's sponsoring that, each of the individual CNC project pages that's on that, they're at the top of all those too. So there's a great deal more exposure on this new site than there used to be on the old one. So what I'm doing is for the first 6 months, I'm charging a very minimal fee. And, in 6 months, then we'll have some numbers that we can go back to these people and say, okay, here's the numbers, here's the click-throughs, here's all of the information. At that point, we can negotiate, new pricing or whatever. But start slow, start out low, and just remember that the first sponsor is the hardest one to get. But, target somebody that a product that or a company that you've worked with before, and show them the value of what you have. And that's, doing a project that really shows off their tool or their equipment very well. Make sure that you send them pictures or links to your videos or whatever else. Microjig has a number of videos that are, favorited on their YouTube channel for all sorts of guys who have done, fun new things with some of the gripper stuff. And, that's a great introduction. I really kind of got started in all of this with Rockler. Way back in 2009, Rockler had released their bench cookies at the AWFS show in Vegas. And I kind of reached out to them and I said, hey, I'd like to get a set to try out. And they were giving them away like candy at that point. So, but what was interesting was that at the time, everybody was talking about the bench cookies, but the question that I kept seeing on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else was, yeah, they look great, but how do they work when they get sawdust on them? And so when I did my review video, I talked about that and I said, let's find out. And I threw a bunch of sawdust on the bench, put the bench cookies down on top of it, threw some more on top of them, put my board down and started working. And when Rockler saw the video at that point, they kind of came back to me and said, we really like what you did here. And I ended up spending about 3 years going through their website, and a lot of the video, if you go to their product pages on their website right now, you'll notice that a lot of the videos for their products are actually videos that I shot for them. And so, so we built a relationship, and now they're one of the sponsors of my website.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Now, I will admit that, I've been writing for Woodworkers Journal magazine since 2000, and of course they're owned by Rockler, so it's nice to have that in. And of course, having written for, Woodworkers Journal, Woodcraft magazine, Wood magazine, and a couple of the trade magazines as well over the years, it's a lot easier to get myself introduced to people because they know who I am in the industry. You know,
Right.
But again, you know, that's another area that people can get involved in to get their name out there. It's become a lot easier over the last several years to do freelance articles for the woodworking magazines, because it used to be that very few of them used freelancers at all, and now all of them are entertaining the idea of using freelancers. And it actually pays pretty good too. It's a lot of fun being in print. Yeah, it's. I'm working on a new article with Woodworkers Journal right now. I've, you know, posted a couple of pictures on Facebook. You know, not giving away the article or anything, but just, oh look, you know, here's what I'm doing on this new project. But I had two articles came out in their magazine in 2016. Or maybe it was 2015 that the miter saw station came out, and then I did the garage folding wood workstation that was in the January issue last year, and I think this new article will probably make it into one of the issues this year, but it might be early next year. I don't know.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Now,
it's a lot of fun.
Now, I've known that you've wrote your own book. You got the birdhouse book. Is there any other books that you've written?
Well, yeah, I appreciate you asking. I've actually got 3 currently that are being published through Amazon CreateSpace. So CreateSpace is wonderful because it basically costs you absolutely nothing to get your book put together. They print on demand, so you don't have to buy a bunch of them, you know, and hope that you sell them someday. I think that if I remember correctly, the minimum number of pages is 28. In order, you know, they can't print anything smaller than that. But the first one I did was actually on using hot sand to shade, you know, inlays and things like that. So that one's available. Then there's the one on the birdhouse I think I did the log cabin, the Lincoln log set, and then I've also got the log cabin. I adapted the Lincoln log set to make birdhouses and bird feeders. Did it out of, you know, inexpensive cedar from the home center. And the nice thing is that when you set up the book, they actually set up the shopping cart for you. So if you go to my website and you look at the book on my website, if you go to purchase it, it's going to take you to that shopping cart they set up. That's where I get the most money. But the book is also on Amazon at the same time. All 3 books are on Amazon. So if you were searching Lincoln logs on Amazon, my book's going to come up, and you can buy it directly off of Amazon that way. I get a little bit less money if they sell it through Amazon, but I actually sell a lot more books through Amazon than I do through my own website, because Amazon's just huge. But it's really, really inexpensive to get started. It literally costs you nothing to get the books published. And then you can, you know, if you're going to an event or something and you want to bring some to sell there or to sign and give away or whatever else, you can actually buy them from Amazon for, I think most of mine are under $4 a copy, that I can buy them directly for myself and either sell them or give them away or do whatever. So, you know, if you're interested in doing that sort of a thing, Amazon CreateSpace is a really interesting way to, you know, to get some of your stuff published. And even though we live in the digital age and we're all here, you know, hanging out online and everything, there's still a big market for printed material, especially in the woodworking how-to space, because people like to have those plans sitting on their bench while they're working. And, you know, not everybody's comfortable bringing their iPad into the shop yet.
Yeah. I got a couple of questions here, Ralph.
Okay.
We got Steve French. He's with Wood and Stuff. And he's like, first question, who is Ralph? I know he's the first, but I'm unfamiliar. So you want to tell him a little bit about you some more? I
Sure.
mean, you're the consulting woodworker. You've been around forever. So, I mean, I don't know why you
Basically-
don't know yet.
Well, not everybody does. It's a big internet out there. Steve, hi, how you doing, man? Basically, I've been a professional woodworker for 30 years, and since about 2007, I've been consulting to the woodworking industry, working with woodworking companies around the U.S. and the Caribbean, Mexico. But I've also, since about 2006, I've been producing woodworking content on YouTube and some other places. I have my own website. You can find me at woodcademy.com. And I've got, I don't know, 150 odd videos, website and YouTube, all kinds of things on product reviews, skill building videos, what I call skill building videos, generic woodworking. I've got a CNC page. I've got a lathe and turning page. So there's lots and lots of content there. And since 2000, I've been writing freelance articles for various magazines. You can find me in Woodworkers Journal. You can find me in Woodcraft Magazine, mostly between 2006 to 2008. And I've even contributed to Wood Magazine a couple of times. So basically, if you do a search under my name, Ralph Bagnall, you'll find some stuff. But just go to woodcademy.com and see what's there. And you can reach out to me. There's a contact me page. Feel free to reach out and send me emails if you got questions or you want to know some information.
And another thing, Steve, if you ever watch Microjig videos, he's the guy that does the instructional videos for Microjig. He's also done a few other tutorials, like for Empower tools. He's done a lot for those guys.
Empower, Betsy, I'm working with Freud currently. And actually, Betsy, a lot of their current product line videos that they have on YouTube, you'll see at the very end, it'll say produced by Consulting Woodworker. But you'll get to recognize my shop and my bench in a lot of those videos.
You just look a little bit different with your Hawaiian shirt there, Ralph.
Well, it's funny. I work with a bunch of different customers. So if you go into my shop here in Florida, in the bathroom, I hung up a shelf with a rack, and I've got a number of different shirts for all the different companies that I work with. If they want, they can send me a shirt, and I'll wear that when I'm filming for them. But I've got a couple of customers, and Empower is one of them, that they actually like the Hawaiian shirts, and they want me to wear the Hawaiian shirts, all the different bright colors in their videos. So, whatever the customer wants, that's what they get.
Exactly. Yeah, you've been a big inspiration of mine too, Ralph. You and Steve.
I appreciate that. It's nice to hear.
You and Steve been big inspiration on my part.
Well, it's really interesting because this whole space that we're working in right now with, we're doing a Google Hangout, it's going to Facebook. Been doing some Facebook Live stuff recently, Twitter and Instagram, Pinterest, and new things that I'm getting involved in, and I know you guys have been busy in for a while. It's all kind of really new, and there aren't a lot of rules yet. And so you never know where stuff's going to take you.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing is to watch for and take advantage of when sometimes, for reasons that you can't even figure out, something just goes pop. I've got a video right now on my YouTube channel for the Whiteside. It's a review of Whiteside's Ultimate Flush Trim Bit. Now, I did the video like a year ago, and it did okay, the usual, several hundred views a month, whatever, but nothing spectacular. And then all of a sudden, a month ago, for no apparent reason that I can discern, it just exploded, and it's been seeing 100,000 views a month by almost 100,000 views a month by itself, something like 78,000 in April. And I have no idea in the world why. But while it's doing that, take advantage of it. I've been a lot more active on YouTube as a result. Sometimes I don't contribute my own stuff to YouTube as much as I should because I'm busy shooting for my customers. But I made a point to get some new stuff up there because there's a lot of new eyeballs looking at everything right now, and that's a great time to strike while the iron's hot, and really, the other thing is answer your comments and your questions on your YouTube page. Anytime a customer or a follower reaches out to you, you want to make sure you get back to them and talk to them, and be somebody that they can interact with. All of that's important to building your following. But every once in a while this happens. This is like the second video this has happened to me, where for no apparent reason it's just gone nuts. And I went, I don't know, I think I've picked up like 400 new subscribers to YouTube in the last month as well. It's just gone crazy. So I can't tell you why, but I'm enjoying it while I'm riding that.
Boy, that must be nice. I've been sitting at the same numbers for a year.
Well, one
of course,
of the
I
things
haven't
you can
been
do,
doing
though,
much for a year, but
well, that's part of it. I mean, you moved and everything in the last year, and that really interrupts the content flow. I moved down here in 2013, and I was 3 months without a shop. And man, I was bouncing off the walls by the time I got the shop set up.
oh yeah. Yeah, we got here, in December, and it wasn't until February before I got mine built. And I was eager to get going. And now that it's built, it's still not insulated all the way, but since it's built, I've had trouble putting things away where I need them because I don't get enough room.
It doesn't matter how much room you have, you'll never have enough.
Well,
that's just the way it is.
It's bigger than, well, technically the main room is bigger than what I had on my other shed that I was working out of. But I had the two sheds together, gave me a lot more room than what I got now. And I'm having problems putting things away where I want them to go.
And it's interesting because rearranging the shop is almost a never-ending process. It just as you change different tasks or whatever. I moved from 600 square feet in Tennessee to my shop now has 800 square feet of shop space and an office with a bathroom attached to it. So I've got about 1,100 square feet total. Didn't take me any time at all to feel the pinch. It just doesn't matter how big your shop is. It'll never be big enough.
Yeah. I was shooting for at least 20 foot long by 12. And they're like, no, you got to have it about 12 by 12. I was like, well, can you meet me halfway, at least 15 by 12? And he's like, yeah, I guess we can have it that big. Because we're just renting the land here. And got to go by his rules. But hopefully we'll be moving again soon. And I'll be looking for another shop space.
I hate moving. I dread it. But it may be that in the not very distant future I have to expand to a bigger shop myself. I don't know.
Hey Ralph, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
What I know when you talk about sponsorships, you're partly talking about websites, but you're talking about YouTube as well. What size do you think you need to be, or do you need to be really dialed into what you're making, one specific thing? How big do you think you need to be, I guess subscriber-wise or view-wise, do you need to be to start going after sponsors, small sponsors?
Well, obviously, the smaller the sponsor, the better. Viewership is important. I mean, obviously, if you've got 100,000 subscribers, you can talk to almost anybody. I've actually managed, been able to manage to get some good numbers or some good sponsors with relatively small numbers. Like I said, my YouTube channel only just crossed 5,000, and it actually I crossed 5,000, and then within a week I was 5,100. But honestly, the website numbers that I have were never that good. A couple of thousand views a month was the best I ever did with my website. But the real thing, I think I've had a newsletter for a very long time, you know, an email newsletter, and although I don't have a huge subscriber base to that, one of the things that my sponsors did notice was a lot of click-through. And that's what's really important. You know, the viewership numbers are good and everything. They're interesting and they're of value. But really, if you can show people that, you know, your customers or your audience, I should say, are actually converting to customers and buying products that you're showing off, that's a real big deal. But I wouldn't, I would not focus really hard on a particular style of project, you know, unless that's what you like to do. And, you know, really what I try to do is listen to the market that I'm talking to, the audience, and let them tell me, you know, gee, we'd love to see something on this or something on that. But sometimes things surprise you. You know, sometimes when you try to put up new content all the time, you run out of ideas. And I did a video on using, you know, how to make and use a start pin for your router table, which is something that, you know, to me is almost a no-brainer, but it's become one of, you know, it's become a very popular video because, you know, a lot of guys just, especially starting out, don't really realize what a start pin is or how it works, and, you know, a quick video to show them that is really good stuff. So, you know, I think that really what you want to be looking at is numbers, you know, viewers and viewership and, you know, that sort of thing is important. And I think that once you get up over 1,000, you can certainly start you know, subscribers or newsletter subscribers or whatever, you can start talking to these people, some of the smaller companies. But realistically speaking, I think if you can prove how many people are clicking through the links on your website or the links on your YouTube channel and buying their products, or at least going to their website from yours, that's really where you can start to, you know, really put together a good deal with, get somebody's interest. So, you know, if you can figure out a way to analyze that.
What type of links do you put there before you have the sponsors? Do you just put products you use? I mean, what's you know, what are you talking about linking through to before you have the sponsors?
Well, yeah. Whenever I do a video, if you go to my website, you know, you'll notice that if I'm using a particular tool or a particular router bit or something like that, you know, I've been an Amazon affiliate for a long time. I've been a Rockler affiliate for a long time. I've been a Woodcraft affiliate for a long time. I don't make any real money out of the affiliate links, but it is a good way to track what's going on. But yeah, even if the product that I'm using isn't, you know, even if I don't have a link, like I don't have an affiliate relationship with Lee Valley, for example, but if I'm using one of their planes in a video, yeah, put the link on there. And, you know, your website provider, whoever you're using to host your website, they have the analytics, or they should have the analytics that actually will show you how many people clicked on that link to look at the product. That's the kind of information you want to give. So yeah, if you could set yourself up as an affiliate and, you know, use that link, that's even better, because then if you buy something, you get a little bit out of it too. But really what you're most interested in is seeing, you know, people clicking through, looking at the products and studying them, you know, from your site. And every once in a while, you know, I had somebody that clicked through an Amazon link from my website, and I don't know what it was for. It's something inexpensive. But while he was there, he ended up buying like 4 Sawzalls, and I ended up getting like a $40 check from Amazon for that one purchase. So, you know, sometimes it works out nice. Yeah. But, you know, none of this is really going to you know, allow you to quit your day job, but it can certainly help pay for your, you know, your shop. And at the very least, like I said, you know, my goal is to make sure that all of my online stuff gets paid for by the sponsors or by the click-throughs or whatever, so that, you know, all this content I'm putting out isn't costing me money. So that's the fastest way to stop doing it, is when when it's costing you money.
Man, that's good information, brother. You know a lot about this.
Well, like I said, I've been doing it since about 2006. So, You know, and really, I mean, 2006 was about when YouTube started. It's you know, it wasn't much before that, and it's come a long way. The nice thing is that now on your YouTube channel, you can have live links in the description of the YouTube video, and that's, I think that came out in 2014. That has not been the case from the beginning. And you know, so every description on my YouTube channel has, right at the very top is the website address. And then, you know, obviously for any product videos on the pages within my website, then I put the links to the various, you know, where they can buy or look at the parts and pieces and whatever, the products or whatever they've got.
Yeah, a lot of my sponsors that I've got usually are, I think, let's see here. My first sponsor was Empower Tools. They gave me my break, and I think I only had like a little over 100 subscribers at that time. And what I look for is these little mom and pop shops, you know, that are trying to get tools out there, like these scrapers that I got, and the rip power jig for a table saw, where you can do do ripping and all kinds of stuff. It's a rip dado jig, and try getting stuff like that. And you know, just like Ralph said, all you got to do is just ask, see if they're willing to give you a shot, and most likely they will. And then you hang on to that relationship as far as you can go with it.
Well, it's interesting. The guys from Empower are really good people to work with. You know, I talk with them at least once a month. You know, Skyping to England and France, where the principals live. But you know, I started with them way back. They were trying to bring they're an English company, a British company, and they wanted to, you know, expand their U.S. market presence. And we started working together doing some of that. And then after the crash in 2007, they kind of backed off for a little while, and now they're coming back in. But they're a perfect example of exactly the right kind of you know, company to go after or to ask and talk to. You know, I was talking at I was at some show or another with I think Tom Iovino at one point, and it was probably WIA in 2013. He said it's really easy to get people to send you free product, you know, but how do you get them to actually sponsor you? And you know, and it is, he's right. It's a lot easier to get them to send you free stuff than it is to you know, actually get them to cough up cash. But say go for the, you know, get a product for review, get a product for you know, to test out. Find some really interesting and unique way to show it off, or a project that particular product is, you know, designed to do, and you know, and then make sure that whoever it is at that company that sent it to you, that was kind enough to do that, by all means, make sure you're talking about them and you're, you know, you're making them look good, and make sure they know, you know, what it is you've done for them. And once you've got that relationship set up, then it's a lot easier to start talking to them about potential sponsorships at that point.
Brian, you back with us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
We're gonna let
That was weird. I got bounced.
Man, I tell you what, today I'm having a heck of a time. You can't hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
we got.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just sit there. It's like, yeah, I'm talking to myself again.
Well, it's fun because I like to tell people I've got the best job in woodworking. Companies send me their products. I use them in my shop, pretty much making what I want to make for the most part. I videotape and shoot photographs of all that process, turn it into marketing materials for them. They pay me to do this, and I usually get to keep the tools. So I've got about the best job going. You know, it's
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you know, my wife loves it because we get, you know, when she comes to me and says, "Oh, I want to do this, that, or the other thing," you know, just as an example, you know, when we moved into this house, the kitchen's nice, but it didn't have pullouts in the lower cabinets, and I like pullouts. So basically, I did a video for Freud on using a box joint jig or their box joint set to make pullouts for, and you know, how to make and install pullouts for your kitchen. So not only did my wife get the pullouts she wanted, my kitchen's got pullouts now, but I got paid to do it. It's about the best way to work.
Oh yeah.
Sorry about that.
Nope, can't complain at all. And it kind of started when I moved into my shop down here. I mean, I moved into a bare building. There was nothing there. And so the first thing I needed to do was set up a chop saw station. And I didn't want to pay for it myself. So, you know, I talked to Woodworkers Journal, and, you know, we turned it into an article. But again, if I had approached them with just another chop saw station, they wouldn't have, you know, it wouldn't have been of interest to them. But I designed mine so that there's the chop saw is set level with where the bottom of the drawers would be, and instead of having drawers in the cabinets, there's a cut shelf there. So the countertop on top of the two cabinets is open space that you can use for whatever you want to. Your chop saw isn't taking up, you know, shop space that you need.
Got another question here, Ralph.
Go ahead.
Sterling Davis wants to know, will you be at the Klingspor show in Hickory this year?
Tell Sterling, hey Sterling, how you doing, man? Yes, I will be at Klingspor this year. Microjig just asked me if I wanted to do it, and yeah, Klingspor is like the kickoff to my fall season. Starting in the fall, I'll be at Klingspor. I'll be showing up at Hartville. I'll be showing up at Woodcrafts in various locations around the country. Last year, I did about 24 trips between September and February. So I've also, Sterling, I've added a page to my website where I'm going to list all the upcoming events that I'm doing. So it's set up like a calendar. And right now there's 3 events on there. I'm doing 2 shows coming up, and I've got a local woodworking club that wants me to come and do a seminar with them we're going to do a seminar on scratch stocks, how to make them, how to use them, and how to make custom blades for one. So yeah, I like to do a lot of that stuff too when I can. You know, it doesn't pay, but I love getting out and meeting people and, you know, talking to other woodworkers. You know, it's kind of lonely in our shops because we typically work alone. And I enjoy getting out and doing the shows and talking with other woodworkers and discussing the projects that we're all doing, and it's a lot of fun. So that's why I like to do it.
Let's see. iRobo Dude asked if I'm going to be doing the 2x4 contest again. Yes, we'll be doing that again coming this September. 1st of June, if I can get the sponsors up, we're going to be doing the Birdhouse Challenge. Let's see here. Sterling says, cool, man. Looking forward to it. Hope to build Hickory show up.
Cool. Yeah, I saw him last year at the Hickory show. It was a lot of fun. The Klingspor show is a good one. It's well attended, and it's a very busy 2 days. That one and the Hartville Tool Show in Ohio is always busy.
Okay, let's see here.
Hey Ralph.
Now, when you go to these shows, Ralph, for the company that you're representing, do they help pay for the transportation, or you got to come up with it yourself?
No. They basically, you know, I've got a couple of different customers, primarily Microjig, but yeah, they actually pay me to go to the shows and work them for them, you know, promote their product and do demos and things like that. And yeah, the only time I pay for my own travel is when I'm doing it for my own business. I did a seminar in Las Vegas in January at the Surfaces show, and for the last since 2008, I've done at least one seminar at every IWF show in Atlanta since 2008. So when I do those, that's on me because it's for my business. But when I'm out representing other companies, oh no, I don't pay for the travel or anything else. It's a package deal, and it has to be because I'm not gonna. I mean, there's no point in doing that. Having me pay for it.
Yeah, no doubt.
There was another question.
Let's see.
Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah, David.
Brian, hello? Is this thing
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Ralph. So help me write the sponsorship for dummies book here. The videos you're talking about a while ago for the sponsors, video ideas. So do you make a video using their product and then show them like, hey, I can put this video out there for you, or you just pitch them the idea, or how do you normally do that?
Yeah, your best bet is to I think personally that your best bet is to have at least one video out there that shows off their tool in a really good way, before you talk to them. And it's just an easier introduction. And you're not even necessarily at the first contact isn't necessarily, will you sponsor me? It's like, hey, I love your product. Look what I did with it here. And, especially when it's something that's, the two things I like to do, or the one thing I really like to do is show the product either doing something easily that's really difficult to do any other way, or, showing some use for it that is not typical. So, just as an example, in 2009, I did a series of videos for Woodworkers Journal for their webpage on various router bits and how to use them. And we focused on some of the more expensive bits that people are hesitant to buy, and I showed you how to use them and how to get good results with them. But then at the end of each of those videos, or they were write-ups at the time, I showed you a different way to use the bit that the manufacturer hadn't come up with. So like for the dish carving bit, for example, I actually like using the dish carving bit for when I'm trimming edge banding on a plywood panel, because the curved corner of the bit acts like you're taking multiple steps going downward, even when you just make single pass across because of the curvature at the bottom of the bit. It gives you a really clean cut. And it's just one of those little tips that, it's going to help your customer, your potential sponsor, sell more product, because their customers are looking at it and going, okay, I can buy it for this, but I can also use it for that. So yeah, I would put the video together first, get it up on your various channels, and then send them a link and introduce it to them and show them where it's how many people have been watching it and everything. That's a great way to introduce yourself. It's when I first started writing for Woodworkers Journal. Now this is going back to 1999 when I first started sending inquiries out, and back then half the editors weren't even online, let alone the way we are now. But I basically contacted every editor I could find for every magazine that I could get an address for, and I said, hey, I'd like to write articles for magazines. How do you go about that? And honestly, most of them never bothered to send a response back. I got like 4 different letters back from different editors telling me exactly why you can't break into this business. But Woodworkers Journal happened to come back and say, we're looking at, expanding our stable of freelance writers. Send us a sample of your work. Well, I already had an article already written, ready to send in case somebody did, respond positively. I sent that to them and they published it. And, we've been working together ever since. It's 17 years now that I've been writing for the magazine. So it's, I think that you're definitely better off having something on your site, before you show up and talk to one of the vendors that you want to be a sponsor for. Just get out there and show them what you can do video-wise and creatively showing off their product. And then from there, Maybe it starts out with a sponsorship. Maybe it starts out with them sending you a couple of other products to work with, and then you build that relationship over time. You know, you just got to kind of feel for how it goes as it goes.
Let's see. We got.
I might have to watch the show back and write some stuff down, Brian.
What's that?
I said, that's a lot of good info. I might have to watch this show back and write it all down.
Yeah. Yeah, you pick up a few things. Let's see. Arubu dude. He wants everybody's links to this panel so he can subscribe to y'all. He thinks you're all interesting.
Well, I appreciate that. You going to type it into the chat there, Brian, or do you want us to just give it verbally?
Well, actually, what you could do is on Facebook, give me some of your links to your pages that you'd want to share, and then I'll post it in the description.
All right, that'll be the easy way. Cool.
Well, I think that's all we have for tonight. Next week, I got David Gunn, not David Gunn, David Gatton over at the Garagework CNC. He's going to be discussing. Yeah, I know. He's going to be discussing what you need to get started into CNC work, and that should be an interesting.
Dave's a great guy. Yeah, Dave's a
What's
great
that?
guy.
I said, every time you say, hey, Dave, I'll interrupt and answer. Next week will be a fun show.
Well, Brian, thank you very much for inviting me tonight. I appreciate the opportunity, and I had a lot of fun.
Well, thank you, Ralph. I've been wanting you on the show forever, it seems like, but I'm glad you're available today.
And it was good to meet the rest of you too.
Yeah,
give Brian your links, because I want to tie into all your different websites too.
Cool.
All righty.
All righty, guys. Have a good one.
All right.
Adios,
Thanks for watching.